Do you believe everything you read on horror movie posters, based on a true story, sends chills down your spine? But what does it really mean? Today, you'll uncover the truths behind the Conjuring and other horror classics. Are these stories as terrifying as they seem? Or has Hollywood's marketing gone too far? Get ready to dive into real events that defy logic, cursed objects, and even legal battles. What truly happened behind the stories of these films? The line between reality and fiction blurs, leaving us to question what's real. And the biggest question remains, are you ready to face it? Imagine a world where the line between reality and fiction is so thin you can't see where one ends and the other begins. That's the shadowy space where The Conjuring thrives. Bringing horror into everyday life often comes from chillingly real events. Close your eyes and think, what if that scene was more than fiction? This link between The Conjuring and real events taps into something primal. The fear of the unexplainable. Knowing these stories are based on people's accounts of living horrors adds a layer of dread. Ed and Lorraine Warren, famous paranormal investigators, turned dark tales into chilling inspirations. Do you believe everything you see? The terror elements are carefully crafted to trick us. This is a fact. Subtle sounds, flickering lights, and harmless events spiraling into chaos are designed to unsettle our minds. If you were in these families' shoes, would you recognize the signs? Or would you become another piece in the puzzle of these real inspirations? The most unsettling thought, what if The Conjuring was just the beginning of something much larger? Perhaps these stories of haunted families are more than legends. Think about it before you sleep tonight. The unknown is closer than we imagine, waiting in the shadows, ready to blur the lines between fiction and reality. Imagine living in an old, isolated house surrounded by dense forests and the feeling of being watched. This was the Perron family's reality, the inspiration for The Conjuring. They claimed they weren't alone. Between nightly knocks and moving objects, the figure of Bathsheba Sherman loomed, accused of witchcraft in the 19th century. What makes this legend more unsettling is what we don't know. Bathsheba's historical records show an ordinary life with no clear evidence of her alleged crimes. Yet rumors, stronger than truth, shaped her legacy. For the Perrons, the terror was real, a constant feeling that every shadow, every sound was a warning. Can you imagine being trapped in a house that feels alive, where every corner whispers secrets you don't want to hear? And if you were asleep when she decided to appear, Ed and Lorraine Warren believed Bathsheba was a demonic entity tormenting the Perrons, documenting events and conducting rituals to confront the darkness. Was the terror fueled by Bathsheba's story, or did something more sinister exploit the Perrons' fear? Either way, the line between what was experienced and what was imagined becomes ever thinner in these dark tales. Perhaps the scariest part isn't what happened, but what remains unanswered. Have you heard of the Enfield poltergeist? It's one of the most famous paranormal cases brought to life in The Conjuring 2. In the 1970s, a single mother and her children were haunted by moving furniture, guttural voices, and levitations. It sounds like fiction, but this story is said to be real. What would you do if you heard a voice calling you now? What makes the Enfield case so fascinating is the amount of evidence collected. Photos captured objects suspended in the air, neighbors corroborated the family's stories, and investigators claimed something unexplainable was happening. Yet skeptics dismissed it as a hoax. But was it really? Would you believe your eyes if physics were defied in front of you? The Warrens were among those involved, though they had limited access. They declared the site had a demonic energy. If faced with such terror, Would you call for help like the family or try to run? But where would you run if the horror decided to follow you? The Enfield case leaves us questioning what lies beyond the rationale. Whether you believe or not, one thing is clear. The family's fear was real. Imagine waking up to the sound of distant laughter, but you're alone at home. The Enfield story is proof that the inexplicable is closer than we think. Or is it just the tip of the iceberg, waiting for its moment to appear? When we talk about cursed objects, few are as infamous as Annabelle. Surprisingly, the real Annabelle wasn't a porcelain doll, but a simple rag doll. Harmless, right? That's what many thought. Until she began moving on her own and leaving handwritten messages like "help us." Imagine waking up to find those words with no explanation. According to Ed and Lorraine Warren, Annabelle wasn't just a possessed toy, she was a channel for something much darker. Visitors to the museum where she's kept have reportedly suffered mysterious accidents after mocking her. If you've ever felt a strange presence in a room, you know how paralyzing it can be. Now, imagine being watched by something sinister. Annabelle remains one of the most feared occult artifacts, locked in a special case, blessed regularly by a priest. But is that enough? Many wonder if she's truly contained, or just waiting for her next chance to cause chaos. Could an ordinary object in your home hold similar dark secrets? Sometimes, legends are closer to us than we think. Annabelle serves as a reminder that terror can hide in the most mundane things, even a forgotten toy. The lessons from history and the Warrens' experiences tell us this. Never underestimate the power of legends or the unknown. What might seem like fiction could one day become your reality. What defines a story as based on true events? Many horror films use real-life accounts as inspiration, but how much truth remains? The Strangers, for example, combines unrelated crimes with folklore. Meanwhile, The Blair Witch Project blurred reality and fiction so well that many thought it was a real documentary. What if everything you believed was a lie? There's something almost magically yet sinister about this manipulation of history. Blending fact and fiction creates a terror that lingers, making you question your safety. If a film can alter your perception of reality to this extent, isn't that power terrifying? It's an emotional manipulation that plays on our deepest fears. This is why people are drawn to these productions. They resonate with deep fears, even when the real facts are twisted to amplify the effect. Have you ever considered if one of these stories could happen to you? The thought of blending reality and fiction so seamlessly makes the terror almost personal. Should, based on true events, be regulated to avoid misuse? Some think so, but wouldn't that steal the mystery? It's the doubt, the blur between fact and fiction that keeps horror alive. These distortions might even hide something darker behind them, something filmmakers dare not show. Not all horror comes from ghosts. Some arise in courtrooms. The Conjuring universe has faced legal battles over the rights to the Warren stories. Warner Brothers was sued for copyright violations, raising the question, who truly owns these tales? What if the justice system decided you didn't own your own story? The most famous case involved Gerald Brittle, author of The Demonologist. He claimed Warner's films were based on his work, not the Warrens' archives. This raises another question. How faithful are the legends in the films to the investigators' documented experiences? Imagine horror shaped by lawyers and contracts, not by shadows. These disputes make us think about how history is reinterpreted for profit. What happens when truth is bent to fit the big screen? These stories undeniably impact us, Yvonne. When shrouded in controversy, they resonate with primal fears. But do these legal battles conceal something deeper about cinematic terror? Perhaps the scariest part isn't what we see in the movies, but what happens behind the scenes far from the cameras, yet so close to the unknown. Could the legal struggles surrounding these films change how we understand cinematic horror? The answer might lie in the shadows of the courtroom itself. Now that you know the secrets behind The Conjuring and other horror tales, how does it change your view of the unknown? These stories reveal that terror is always lurking, whether in the shadows of an old home or the fine print of a contract. The real question is, are you ready to face the unknown and apply what you've learned? Think about it. How many times have you ignored that inexplicable chill or a strange noise from nowhere? What if you found out that your home, your objects, or even your memories hold stories you've yet to uncover? The first step is to open your eyes to what's around you and question everything. Don't let the unknown control you. Turn fear into strength, mystery into curiosity. Are you ready to continue exploring the darkest mysteries of horror? If so, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any details of the stories few dare to tell. This journey is just beginning, and you're a part of it. After all, who knows what else is hidden, waiting to be discovered? The unknown may be closer than we think, and with every story, we take a step deeper into the shadows. Are you brave enough to keep going? The choice is yours, but the answers lie in the mysteries yet to be uncovered.